Welcome to my virtual campfire. I'm Crystal Kelly. In Season 2, I am exploring with you as masters of our own experience in an epic and unique time in the history of conscious life. We are all being called to do something unknown. I'm turning to the ancient wisdom when fire was the quantum shift that catapulted humanity. Now, we are the shift. When we connect consciously, we are connected with the new earth. We become the new earth human family. Through vibrations and conversation, let's enter this superhighway of consciousness and co-create within the quantum realm of light. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Lots of things are happening these past few days. Girl, we're gonna have to talk. But but it's like because of what I do, because of the work I do, and how I'm situated in my own mindset, this passing has had an interesting effect on me in the sense that I feel like some downloads have come as a result of it.
Okay.
Better understanding of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still processing, I'm still processing. And I don't know, I'm sure everybody does this. They talk to their loved one, when they die, they just talk to them still.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm having these conversations. I feel like he's around, and I'm processing our relationship as it was. We weren't super close,
Mm-hmm.
He was my dad. Of course I loved him, but we weren't super close. So it wasn't like this I hate my dad, it was just kind of, he's my dad, and we talk, and then but it wasn't like oh my dad, he's this gem of my life, so I don't have that kind of thing going on, I don't have that. I just feel really still, solid, and I'm listening to my father. Maybe he's trying to tell me some important information that he's hearing on the other side, whatever, so I'm just sitting with it, and every moment I'll have a burst of tears come up and be like, wow, this is real, this happened, and I'm thinking about him, thinking about his life and what he feels and what he's probably thinking, and I have questions, what's his adventure life, what is he going through, and and how did he feel when he left, and the night that he died, my brother called me to say his heart rate is starting to go. So everybody get on the phone, let's say goodbye. So we actually had a chance to say goodbye over the phone.
Oh, wow.
Which was monumental.
Yeah.
And I was real quick because I didn't want to hold up, anybody else to miss that opportunity, but I was just like, okay. And he has this music that he loved to listen to. So I was playing that when they called, and I was like, look, Dad, I'm listening to the music that you love.
Yay.
I'm celebrating your life, And so that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't want to be all like, oh God, I want to celebrate. I want to joy. And I see him as his younger self. I see him as the father of me when I was a little girl, and all the things that he brought, the action, the excitement, the scariness, everything, I'm seeing that. I'm remembering that more than these last few years. And somehow I think that's what he wants us to remember. Mm-hmm. I don't think he wants us to remember the guy that was like laid up in bed and like, I think he can remember himself as this person who spoke out, spoke up, and was very out doing what he, his thing and stuff. And my mantra when people mess with me is, hey, you don't want to mess with me. I'm Joe Coleman's daughter, man. You don't fuck with me, So, and I'm like, so now that he's passed, am I still that, or is his passing allowing me more energy to flow into my own self, how much of him was I holding in myself, it is a lot of questions, but anyway, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, well, I mean, I was sorry to hear that. And, but I think that I read somewhere just recently, just the other day, someone passes, you're supposed to sit in stillness, and you're supposed to just be and just receive whatever it is that comes in. So I think that you're like doing all the right things, you know, and
Yeah.
the answers will kind of come as they come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. I just wanted to
Center yourself and really
just have some space. And Tamara, I just want to say thank you so much for spending time to chat and to co-create whatever it is that we have to talk about. But in order to give people a good just idea of who you are, and I'm just going to read basically some of your bio just so that people have a good idea.
Okay.
So I am speaking with Tamara Zenobia. She is an Alaskan-born storyteller, performance artist, and vocal alchemist. She brings a unique artistic philosophy to her work, and that is to hone the gift of the intuitive and improvisational artist healer within each of us. Her process combines the elements of vocal alchemy, percussion, electronic music, and other world instruments to create a very authentic sound that is all her own. You lived in Paris for 5 years, where you trained with vocal instructors in the areas of opera and jazz. Your experience includes singing in gospel choirs in the US, including Martin Luther King Choir in Anchorage and the American Church Choir in Paris, France, and the Taliesin Choir at the, did I say it right? Taliesin, thank you, choir at the Frank Lloyd Wright, one of my favorite architects, Institute in Scottsdale, Arizona. And you are the founder of Inner Guidance Healing and Art Studio and Gallery and Butterfly Jazz Intuitive Arts, which you operate now out of Seattle. So you live in Seattle now. I could really go on and on about all of the things that you do, but I think what most people want to hear is from your own alchemy, what you're about, and to hear it come through your voice. And yeah.
All right. Well, basically what I'm about and what I feel is my purpose here is human evolution. You know, vocal alchemy is one of the tools that can be used in that process. And I want to learn how to transform my body into what it needs to be for the earth today. You know, I feel like, and I want to do that in vocal sound healing. I want to do that in music and just in my daily life and living, how to make it so that earth isn't killing us, you know, how to make it so that we can live here and adjust with the environment, you know. I believe that we have these skills and we have these abilities, and we just have to be still and get into a place where we're walking more in unison with earth, whatever that looks like to anybody. I am not for or against any one thing, because I think we're all different kinds of creatures, and we all require different things to be at one and at peace on this earth. Some people are meat eaters and they need that. Some people are vegans and they need that. Some people are vegetarians and they need that. You know, I just re-begun my watching of that show called Grimm, you know, where he's this grim cop and he's helping all these people get through their lives as these other creatures slash human looking people, but and I'm like, isn't it interesting that we could be living exactly like that and don't even know it right here on this planet? And that's why we have all these weird things happening between us, and why we can't get along is because we don't know. You know, we don't know that each of us is a different kind of creature per se, you know, and that we don't all need to be doing one thing, you know. And as if we can come into the more and more to the awareness of that, that is something that will change the way we live, bring more peace, bring more harmony as we learn to respect each other. You know, okay, fine, we finally realized that you don't have to live this way, but can we all just get along? You know, you go over there and do that. Don't come over here with your crap because we won't accept it, you know, kind of thing, you know, more of this in a micro type of way, you know, rather than country to country. Now it's household to household, city to city, you know. And anyway, so vocal alchemy to me is that it's using one's voice to learn to speak into existence what we want to create, specifically what I want to create for me and the world around me, and being able to really harness that gift so that it becomes like getting up and breathing, so that it's a natural process. Yeah,
it's fascinating to me how you mentioned on a micro level, because so much right now is going on globally, but you're totally right that with all this like shift and this change, we have to focus, you know, inward first, I think. And then once that that inwardness and that grounding happens, then you know, we need to focus on, you know, the immediate people in front of us. So if we have children or our aging parents, or you know, whoever it is that's surrounding you. So it's really insightful that even though these shifts are global, you know, we're staying closer to home right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I just feel a sense of excitement about the world and what's going on, how things are, you know, what is coming for us in this new world, and how on one hand we could be at war with all these changes, but they're coming. You know, they are coming, you know, so we have to find a way. You know, we're talking about our food and how our food is changed, you know, for us energetically. Then we should change. We don't need to fight the food industry and fight those things. How can we live and get along here on this earth so that we can eat food we like without it killing us? You know, this is absolutely, it's important for us to figure this out, you know, because if Earth is a being itself and it needs to make changes, right? Then if we're going to stay here, we need to make changes.
Exactly.
Rather than changing Earth, why don't we evolve with the Earth? And you know, and so that is exciting, because now we are in this position of forward thinking rather than, no, don't take my cheese, you know, like that book, Who Moved My Cheese? Don't take my stuff away, it's mine. No, I want it to stay the same, and we'll sit here and we'll, you know, we talk about this. I'll say something briefly about it. And it's like, it's heartbreaking to see the division of this whole vaccinated, unvaccinated thing, you know. And so I'm like, no, let's not do that. Maybe some people need to be vaccinated, maybe some people don't. Is there a way that we can find that will transition this into a peaceful coexistence? You know, I mean,
yeah,
I can't even say very much about it just because it's so close to the heart, and I have some project in the work regarding that. So we'll give it a little time for that.
Yeah, and it's about acceptance, you know, accepting everyone for who they are and who the choices that they make. And I know there is so much divisiveness in society right now, just whether it's over that issue or another issue, or, you know, whatever. I feel like even just driving down the street, I see people honking more. I see, you know, a lot of
rage.
Yeah, a lot of anger. And I think it's things coming out, you know, and this is, you know, if we think of our bodies as filters, maybe we're just filtering it all out and the ickiness has to come out at some point, and so it's kind of filtering out right now. But I think that I think things that you do, like with vocal alchemy, like to me, when you alchemize something, you're changing its structure. So like its molecular structure. And so I think of that's a beautiful thing, because it can purify something. It can work out shadow work, or how, whatever words you want to use, when you're really transmuting something when you alchemize it. And so
and the growth that's required inside the body, the growth that's required inside your own mind, it stretches your own reality, your own scope of understanding about yourself and other people, and yourself in relation to your other people and the world around you. You begin to really stop. There's no fix anything. You're like, oh my God, all these are ingredients for me to use to make something, and you begin to change the way you process words inside your own head. You change the way you talk about yourself. You change the way you look at yourself, realizing that every single thing you think and say to yourself about yourself is actually becoming, right?
Yeah.
And what you say about the world is becoming, This, what we have right here going on in the world, is a conglomeration of all of our thoughts and words. So much anger, we see the anger. So much rage, we see the rage. One day, I was having a series of epiphanies, and I was walking downtown, and I was just looking up at the tall buildings, and I was like going, oh my God, we created all of this. We created all of this. But when I say that, I'm looking at the most minute thing, right? So you have, for instance, an airplane. And inside the airplane are these nuts and bolts and really specific pieces and parts that were created for certain places. And it's like, imagine the genius of that. Like, okay, here we have this plane, but we need this tiny itsy bitsy little micro thing that goes over here. And if this thing isn't here, the whole thing falls apart, or it's going to cause this, it could have this humongous effect on the rest of the plane. And it's like, somebody said, we needed this. And then somebody said, I'll create it, like, something saying a conglomeration of humans on earth is crying out now for a certain kind of justice. That justice is coming, but guess what? It never looks like what we think it's going to look like. Yep. We create it, and we don't even realize we're creating together. That's why the news is so powerful. That's why all this media, people think these conspiracy theorists are crazy. It's not that they're not crazy or whatever. It's just that, it's a play on words. It's just that they can see that collectively if they control our thoughts and get us to be like sheep, then we will create whatever it is that they need us to create for it to be their way, right? But when we realize that, we could say, oh no, collectively we want this, and so we refuse to give you that energy. So right now the word of the day is fear. Fear. So you put out all this fear stuff, all this, people are afraid. Oh my God, I'm so scared. The most beautiful, loving, amazing people have become demons. Like, Sarah, the healer from down the street, what's going on? It's literally like that. I'm seeing that. I'm just like, John, the loving, kind neighbor, passing out candy to kids, and now he's filled with rage. I don't get the vaccine, I'm gonna tell you. And I'm like, what is going on? You can see it.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. So seeing that and knowing, and then seeing the alchemy part of it, I'm like, what can I do to change this vibration? Talked about road rage. I was on the road. I don't know if I talked to you about this. I was on the road a few weeks back, and I pulled up into the intersection under the bridge, going to go around that roundabout to get downtown. And as I pulled up to the intersection, I heard gunshots.
Oh.
I was like, oh my God, is that gunshots? And I was like, then I heard it again, pap, pap. And I saw there was a big bus in front of me. And so I saw underneath the bus, I saw a blue flashing light hit the ground. And I was like, oh my God, somebody is in traffic shooting people. So I was like, oh, so I freaked out because I was like, what do I do? I can't run. I mean, where am I going to run? This guy,
Yeah.
there's somebody with a gun shooting people in the street, you know? So I was like, I got to hide. And I was like, will I be able to hide? I was like, look. So I stopped and I was like, and I looked around at me and I was looking into everybody's cars. And do you know, I felt like I was in a weird, freaky movie where I was the only one who saw and heard. Everybody was like, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a gun, man, it's shooting in the street. And so the bus passed, and then I saw a man walk from around one side of his car to the other side of his car, and he got in it. So I was like, wait a minute, like, what just happened? Like this, so this did happen. Something went down. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And then as I drove the intersection, because he got in his car and then he drove off, you know, all the traffic, and he was right in the front. And and as I drove around, I looked at all the cars that were in the lane behind him just to see their reaction. What was going on? Did something happen? No reactions. No, I didn't see anything. So I was like, well, maybe it didn't happen, you know, because even the bus in front of me, I looked at the bus and I saw people on the bus getting up and moving around and shifting. So I was like, what, you know? And so I searched until I found it. So apparently there was a road rage incident where somebody spit on the passenger and the car next to them, and then the person in the other car got out to do something. I don't know the sequence of events, but at some point the man in the other truck that did the spitting pulled out a gun and shot the tires out from the car. So thank God it was tires and not a person.
Right.
But
still,
when I looked on the internet to search for this to see what had happened, and I found it, underneath it, there are a number of other articles, and it was like that scene from that movie with Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich when she's watching the screen, trying to talk about humanity, and it's war and death and rah, 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 and she's just like going, and she's like crying because she sees all this horrible. And I was like, there were so many different rage incidents, like reports of rage incidents all over the country, just people just getting shot, neighbors shooting each other, all this, you know, and I was like, holy cow. And I just was reading these articles going, what in the world? And I said to myself, I get road rage every now and then. I get a little bit, come on, people, drive your car, man. Yeah. And I said, Tamara, you need to chill out. You're going to be calm and quiet. You're going to be relaxed. You're going to, you know, you can't let anything upset you, because an old lady could get out and shoot you today. This is how crazy it is. It's not, these are not your regular gangster people out here doing this. These are average people that live they work at the bank and the school teachers. That's the kind of stuff that's happening. I was like, okay, yep, we got to watch it.
Yeah, I've a lot of times thought the worst virus on the planet is actually fear, because it infiltrates you so deeply that you might not even realize. And I'm not talking about fight or flight, like that's different. That's like something in the moment you have to react to.
Your neighbors and the people around you, nobody looks safe anymore.
Right. Yeah, because it's that fear that is making decisions for people instead of their heart making the decision, you know, or their will, you know. So like yeah, I actually think that is more of a disease in our country than any virus is fear right now. And
that fear is the killer of people. Even in the virus, fear is the killer of people. Now, both my mother and my father just got over COVID. My father went into hospital a month ago with COVID. He beat COVID. He was 100% well. In fact, the day he died, he was leaving the hospital. They were sending him home. My mom was getting ready to have him come home. She also had beat COVID. Both of them made a full recovery. And then he had, while he was there, you know, and he was in he was out of the COVID unit, and he was in another, you know, just wherever, regular people unit, and he's on dialysis. So they's like, oh, you know what? Something's wrong with his arm. We want to do surgery. So they did the surgery Monday this week, and then he had dialysis on Tuesday this week. And then on Wednesday, what's it today? Wednesday?
Today's Thursday.
Tuesday, Thursday. Okay, so Wednesday he was supposed to go home. Was it Wednesday? No, it was Tuesday. I got everything. My whole timeline is all messed up. I think it was Tuesday he was supposed to come home because that's the day he had dialysis, and he started bleeding internally, you know, and then he just died. Like with it, he was ready to come home. He was like walking, talking. When he went in, he was not doing any of those things. He came out, he was walking, talking, eating, feeling fine. And then something like this happened, you know.
Yeah.
I think it had something to do with the surgery, but I'm not talking about that right now. Anyhow, I just feel like my parents through this whole thing have been my superheroes, because from the time it started to the end, you know, I was feeling sick in the beginning. I didn't know what it was. And at that time they weren't testing everybody, but I said, you know, when I finally got a hold of myself and shook myself by my own shirt collar, I said, hey, you're a healer, snap out of it. You know, first things first, you won't be getting sick. You're immune. And everybody who comes 20 feet from within 20 feet of you will also be immune. You can't get this virus. Just don't even think about it. Stop it. Just forget it. So that's what kept me going all year long. And I told him, and as soon as I got that revelation, I called my parents. I said, Mom, Dad, I need you to do something. I need you to say, I'm immune. I'm immune. Just say it all day, every day. Just say, I am immune. And they don't have a choice. My mom is my dad's caretaker. She has to drive him all over town to the doctor's office, all over the place. He's got to go to dialysis 3 times a week. And they can't be sitting up being afraid of stuff, you know. And we eat. My brother's also a healer. So back home, he was working with them. We were doing stuff over the phone and everything. And they made it through this entire pandemic with like going out to the store. You know, people came in the house. One person came in with pneumonia. My brother came down with pneumonia. Another person came in coughing and stuff all over everybody. My parents did not get sick. And then as soon as they start talking about getting the vaccine, because they're like, well, we're older, we want to travel, we just want to be safe, we're not really sure. Somebody put that conversation in their head. And I don't know where it came from, but all of a sudden they were just talking about it. I said, as soon as that happened, someone came into town, delivered the virus right to their doorstep, you know? So I was just like, wow, you know? And then I said, well, we know what to do. We know how to beat this. So let's just do that, you know? But anyhow, I think it's fear that really takes us down in all areas, you know, not having a good understanding. I would like for death to be a choice, not something that I fear. I don't want to live for fear that I might die. So I'm living. I want to live because I want to live and I want to enjoy my life. And death is, you know, another process. I'm looking forward to death as the prize at the end of the tunnel versus, oh my God, I'm so afraid to die. I better hurry up and do this before I die. I like to think we're living by choice, not by chance, you know?
Yeah, so, I believe that. I think that we have individual missions that we have to carry out, or, you know, I feel like, you know, I feel like I have a calling to even have conversations like this, you know, just to create space. And I do it by choice, you know, when I'm inspired. And I think that, one of the things when I first met you that I was like, this chick is rad, is your pyramid. Like that, like, I love the story of how you just felt inspired, like, and you just did it. And I was like, that is so fun that I had to run home and make my own pyramid. I mean, like, I literally did. I was just like, yeah, so I want to hear a little bit about your pyramid.
And you're not the only person. You're everybody who's seen it went home and built one immediately. Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? This was like just something, and it wasn't even, I wasn't trying to create a fad. I wasn't trying to like do anything. It was like literally, like, I think it was a month before I built it. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, all of a sudden it was like, you need to build a pyramid. And I was like, and then I just started thinking about it. I was like, okay, but it might take me some time because I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't really have a lot of cash flow hanging out, and I need to make sure I'm wise. So it might cost thousands of dollars for me to buy all the copper that I need. I didn't know about copper. I didn't know how much it costs, and all of a sudden, but it was just like copper, and I don't know if the seed was planted in my head or if I saw something or read something and forgot about it, and then, but all of a sudden it was like, pyramid, you got to do the pyramid, you got to do it. So I was like, okay. So one day I was sitting here in the chair because it started to, how you have these thoughts and you're like, do it, do it, do it, do it, and you're like, okay, yeah.
But then you're like, how do I do it?
Yeah. Right. I'm sitting in my chair and I was just kind of having a humdrum day, and I wasn't thinking about the pyramid at all. I was thinking about painting, and I got this show to do. And so I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. I ain't going nowhere. And then I was just like bummed out. And then I was just staring at my screen. And then all of a sudden I was like, if you get to Home Depot, you can get all the supplies you need, like with it, and be home and build the pyramid before the night is through. And I was like, okay. And I got up, checked my bank account, make sure I had the money in there, ran to the store and got the supplies I needed to build this pyramid. And I was just like, this is weird, because it's like something literally just came over me and was like, snap, snap, you got this. And it was so easy. It was so easy. Like, I bought the rods. They were like $14 a piece for the rods. And then I got the little connector thingies, the ones that I use. And I was like, 96 cents. Oh, okay. And then I was like, and I already had some long copper wire, so I was like, okay. And then I bought this tiny little tool. It's like, looks like a toy, but it's got a blade on it. So it's not a toy, but you just put it around if you want to cut the copper.
Yes.
And you just twist it and it cuts like in minutes, within minutes, 2 minutes. So I was like, wow, this is, and then I was like, and then I just built it. I didn't really have a video that taught me, okay, you do this and do that. I did it from scratch, and I just threw it together, and I was like, this is weird. Like, it was up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And then I got in it. And from the moment that I built this thing till now, like, I feel like amazing mental transitions have taken place. Healing things are happening in my body, all kinds of just really transitional type events are taking place. So many that I can't even describe them all. And some of them are happening while I'm not even aware of it.
Yeah.
They're happening. So I'm just like, wow. And then I invited 2 friends to come over. I told them about it. Well, I invited one and she invited her friend. So they came over and we sat in the pyramid together. And then it's like, we're going to do this. And then we talked about starting a pyramid group, and we were just joking about it, but we're like, yeah, let's do it. So then I noted that a woman, my teacher basically, in Tucson, Arizona, she has a school, Web of Life Church, and I'm ordained through them. And she was like, I just wanted to say, I saw your pyramid, and that is so cool. Somebody donated 2 pyramids to us, and we would like to, if you're gonna. So she said something about having a group, and I said, oh, okay. So she's always letting me know the school's here. You can work through us. And I was like, oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that. So I said, hey, she said, do a group. And I said, oh yeah, I am thinking about that. I said, duh, I could do it through you guys. Hello. Then we could connect all these people. So in Tucson, Arizona, her and her partner, Jacob, Quinn and Jacob come to the meeting. And then now other people are part of it from there. And then I've got the people here.
And I know I wanted to join on the last meeting, and I had too much like other work stuff going on, so I couldn't, but I'm really excited it's tomorrow, right?
It's tomorrow night. It's tomorrow night at 5:30.
Yeah, yes. So like every other Friday night, is that
every other Friday night. And so what, the purpose of the group, because the pyramid is a technology, the structure of the pyramid is a technology. First of all, you can use any material, wood, copper, PVC pipe. Now the Russians totally think that the PVC pipe is way more powerful than the copper.
Really?
They've done experiments. I don't know, but that's what they think. So they're all about the PVC thing. I like copper. I'm into copper.
I like the copper too. I felt very drawn to it. I felt like it resonated with me. It's what I wanted.
Yeah. So I made mine a little bigger because I want to do a concert inside of it, sing inside of it to the people out in the concert. Mm-hmm. So, and that's next Friday, but more on that later. And so the first one we did some channeling. We each channeled, because what we want to do is use the pyramid as an accelerator for our own gifts. So we would like to work on telepathy. We would like to work on telekinesis. We would like to work on teleportation, you know, all these things, and communicating with our galactic family.
Yep.
And the research that I've done, and I didn't bring my sites and all my different things that but I've been reading books. And the one book was more technical about the actual pyramid itself and what it can do. You could put meat in here, raw meat, and it won't go bad. You know, according to the pyramids. Some person put their living cat in here, and the cat became a vegan, didn't want to eat meat anymore. Really, you know. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things that take place inside. They talk about it for so many things, like the things that you can do in here. So the structure itself, the component, the mathematical, you know, whatever it is, they talk about Fibonacci sequence and all that.
Yeah, the sacred geometry of it. I actually watched I guess a live webinar yesterday from a guy down in New Zealand that was explaining the sacred geometry of the pyramid. And I'm not a technical person. I'm more of like I feel it, but it was fascinating.
Yes.
To hear his way of describing it, because it very much seems like there is a technology at play there. Like it's undoubted. Yeah.
And if we look at the hit, and now so there was one book that described all these different actual math, actual science of the pyramid itself. And then there are other people who are out there doing the work of the real pyramids that exist all over the world. They say that there were thousands and thousands of them, and many of them got destroyed. These pyramids were actual vehicles. They did travel. They were spaceships. The pyramids that they have now, there's technology underneath that can't get to. They haven't been able to get to it. But imagine if there were people rightly placed all around the world who were the key to these pyramids. Mm-hmm. And the only way they can't get in because there are these keys. These keys are actual people. Mm-hmm. And that's what gets into these places. That's what gets it to work. Just like in the TV show, I just now realized it, so maybe they do know. And that's why, ooh, girl, don't get me started, Human Genome Project. That's why they're trying to get inside our blood, because they're trying to figure out, remember that show, Stargate Atlantis? I'm sorry, I'm like, ooh, yeah. Stargate Atlantis, Stargate SG-1, and they had the devices in Antarctica, and the people that could make that chair work were people who had a certain genetic type. Mm. So there are people all around the world. I'm saying they're Nephilim. These are the children of the Nephilim. They're trying to find the children of the Nephilim, and they're doing this through the Human Genome Project. Hey, everybody, want to know who your ancestors are? Send us your blood and we'll tell you. I don't think so. You know? Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of shamans say that the keys are actually crystals. Mm-hmm. And inside of our bodies, we have crystals. Mm-hmm. You know, like our ear has a crystal in it. Our pineal gland is crystallized. They're even saying there are parts of your DNA that is crystal, and so, or crystalline. So I definitely think that that technology to activate things exists within our bodies in the forms of crystals. And I think that there's also other crystals that exist around the planet that are strategically either grounding or, you know, have other purposes. So I do think crystals play a big part in it, and that concept of us being keys, it definitely aligns with that theory. So I could definitely see that being like a logical.
Oh yeah, there's so many, and I like to say it's all hypothesis. Mm-hmm. Until they prove it, it's hypothesis. So I'm like, yep, I'll go with that, you know, because you know, in science, that's what you do. You put together your hypothesis and then you experiment. And only thing they can't experiment unless they have all the pieces together. So crystals are a part of it. The human DNA is a part of it. You know, all these massive things. So anyhow, I want this group to be a group of exploration where we discover our bodies, where we channel, where we focus, you know, and every person has the ability, gets a chance to work on that. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do this yet, but we just had our first meeting last week and I think it went really well. And this week we'll just come up with something every single time to work, you know, to help us to get to those different places.
So I know I wasn't present last week, but one of my contributions to the group of my silent contribution anyway, was making that video to try to encourage other people to make their pyramids. And I know of 3 people for sure from my video that have decided to do a pyramid. So I'm hoping that of those people, they encourage other people, and then, you know, some of them also join in on it too. So
it's so awesome how it just happened like that. Like, like I did it, I had no idea it was important. And then all these people came and it wasn't like, that's weird. They just did it. And then you made your thing and then other people are seeing it and going, yes, I'm going to do this too. And it's like, wait a minute, this is more than just a fact. Like there's something going on in the mind where people see it and go, duh, it's a piece. They connect.
It's triggering an ancient memory or ancient knowledge, because the day after I saw your pyramid, and that was the first day I met you, that night I had a dream, and in the dream I was in downtown Tokyo at the Shibuya crossing, like that big, huge crosswalk that goes across. And I had been there a few years before, and I was there with my daughters. And in my dream, I was there with my daughters, and as we're walking across the crosswalk, all the people around us had these pyramids floating over their heads. And it was like, it wasn't like everyone, but it was enough that I was like, what's going on with the pyramids? Like these people know something. And then when I woke up from that dream, I was like, wow, that pyramid concept is bigger than I even know. And it was really like, there's more to it. And I still don't even know what all there is to it. And I'm sure you don't either, but it's fascinating. And it's really powerful to sit and meditate under. And the ideas and the thoughts that pop into my head are very, very random, but it feels like rejuvenating or something. Like I get excited. I'm like, oh my God, I totally,
It is very rejuvenating. And I should let you know that my group is, I thought, I thought, oh, it'd be so cool to have this group, but then I discovered there are other pyramid groups all over the world.
I found and I'll share it too. I found a group on YouTube that does these like basically podcast episodes of talking with people under pyramids. And I listened to a couple of their videos.
The pyramid technology. There's a pyramid technology group. And then, so I found that too. And I was just like, wow, this is really cool. And they go in depth, do other, they do experiments. So some of them will show you how they use the PVC pyramid. And then, by the way, there's apparently 3 different so far. I mean, I'm sure that there are other groups that we haven't discovered yet, but there's the Roman pyramid, the Nubian pyramid, and the Giza pyramid. Each of a different varying degree in terms of power. Now, what I found is that I was somewhere in between a Giza and a Russian and a Nubian pyramid, or maybe it was Giza, according to
the I think you're just looking at it, I think is the Russian and the Nubia.
Russian and the Nubia pyramid. But I was not at their exact degree, but I was experiencing amazing things. So I would gather to say that, because this is just my own philosophy of life anyway, the rules, people build a pyramid. Don't worry about coordinates and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the structure itself and the whole, whatever's happening, I was instructed, I did it naturally. And what I did naturally worked. Was not the exact coordinates. It was close, but not exact. And I've extended it now. And I think it's closer now to the Giza. It is a Giza. It's more of a Giza style pyramid, but I still believe that the power is there, regardless of how exact or whatever, because I have already experienced some things as a result.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the very specific things matter. I do know that I went for more of the Giza, but it wasn't so much for the Giza pyramid. For me, my personal connection was with Chichen Itza. And early in 2020, in March of 2020, I had visited Chichen Itza. And very soon after visiting that, and also visiting my friend's sound temple in Tulum, I had a very strong sense to create sounds. And I'd never been musical or done anything with any vibrations other than my own voice, but I would never even have sung. So I felt like that experience and that energy that I felt there, it really translated to that Giza kind of the structure. And so when I had found those connectors on eBay and they were the exact degree of the Giza, I was like, oh, that's easy. I need to order those, because it just, for me, it had some resonance with the energy that I had felt when I was there. So I that was like my thought process behind it, but I'm sure everybody has their own, probably everyone has their own vibration and their own messages that they're radiating. So maybe everybody needs a different angle pyramid,
Right. Yeah. You just never know. And I remember years ago, when I first started the journey to go on the journey of remembrance across the country, I was here in Washington. I was in Tacoma. I was in my brother's apartment, and I'd begun to do these things, these movements. And at that time, I just called them these movements. But what I learned later is that, oh, I'm doing Tai Chi Qigong, right? And so my guides were guiding me. Okay, at night, I would meet with them. I would make a circle of crystals and I would get in it and I would just start doing this work. And what they were telling me was that the more I got in resonance and tune with these body movements and got connected with myself, I could connect to all the different coordinates all over the world where the pyramids were and create a gateway. And you would think after hearing something like that I would be like, yep, let's do it. But it was really, it was like, oh my God, really? Whoa. And then life happened. And then I just went on my journey to do more stuff. But now that it was like they planted that seed in me just to let me know the timing is not your timing. We always want to rush things and make it happen now, but they let me know that then. And so today, now that I've built a pyramid, now I'm ready. My body is ready. I am ready to begin the work of communicating with all these different, and not alone. Of course, we're not meant to do this alone. And when you were talking about singers, and I remember years ago, and I cannot find it, I was a Christian and I was into a Russian missionary, and his name was Dmitry Dudakov or Dudamov or Duda something. Okay. But he was a prophet. And he talked about there was going to come a time on earth where we were going to have to do something amazing. And his prophecy was that he saw a wall of singers. And we sang peace and healing over the earth. And something about that prophecy resonated. When I read it, I saw his vision. I saw it in my inner mind, and I was like, wow. And I was like, okay. And then years and years later, I start doing sound healing. And there are all these sound healers all over the world. That's our mission. Together, we're connecting. We're not in the same location, but we're connecting all over the globe. and we're emitting this sound, we're emitting this frequency, and together what we emit is bringing healing to ourselves, to our people, our evolution, so that we can live here on earth together, you know. So there's no big you, there's no little I, there's no big me and little, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I'm better than you, or you're better than me, or I'm the most prolific, blah. Nope, it's, we are all one body, one voice. You can't get away from that, you know. One of us is the heart, one of us is the lungs, or a group of us is the heart, a group of us is the lungs. And we function as one body, creating this organism, this gigantic God creature who's going to go into the world and emit the sound that's going to stop all the drama.
You know, and it's funny because the term living in harmony is literally,
right.
You know, I mean, something that's harmonic is like, so it's just funny. I've never thought of that term in the sense of sound before, because, you know, people just say, oh, we live in harmony, or we, you know, whatever, but I never really related it to sound until just now.
Yes, exactly. So I'm excited for that. And I feel like the things that I do, the instruction that I get, even little by little, it finds me, and I get another piece of the puzzle. Then life comes and I have to process, because I think our human body and what we've been living on this earth has to be processed out. And when I read some Chinese or some, I want to say Chinese books about like the energy and stuff, there was a particular artist, martial artist, and he was describing in his book that there are people who have immense and amazing power on this earth. They are amazing and they are powerful, but guess what? They're killing people. They're killing people because they're giving too much too soon. They're doing things out of time. And yesterday I got a gigantic, huge lesson in that. So I'm doing the sound healing, and a friend reached out to me and said, hey, Tamara, so-and-so wrote to me on her page and said, she's looking for this. And I want to connect you with her because maybe you could help her. She's looking for a music therapist. And I said, okay, you know, the lady said she wanted a music therapist and sound healer. And I was explaining the difference to her. And so she said, well, this person is in a coma and there's some, you know, something's not, they're young, they're in the prime of their life. And they said that music therapy could help them. So I said, okay, well, I'll see what I can do and I'll let you know by Friday, or I should have something for you by Friday. And I thought, oh, I can do everything. I can do, yeah, sure. So my work involves talking to spirit, you know, don't you lay your hands on nobody without talking to the spirit, get some instruction, hear their people, your people. So I sat down and was like, all right, what do I need to know? Bam. She is, what did they say to me? She is what she needs is beyond your scope of work.
Wow.
And I was like,
whoa.
Inside of me, I said, no, I can do everything.
Yeah.
I can heal anything. I am Tamara Zenobia. Whoa! You know, and fine, I'm saying this, but I'm like, the girl, you know, spirit, you don't fly. So I was like, what do you mean? I said, of course I can do this. And I was like, well, can I just do a little, can I just a little sound, just send them some music? No, leave it alone. Don't touch it. It's not yours. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
You know, and it was a powerful reminder to me that I am not alone. Nobody is doing this work alone. There is no I. You have a conglomerate of ancestors and spirit guides and protective angels guiding and protecting you. I don't know, we think we're supposed to just reach out and touch people just because, for the sake of it. And it also brought to my mind the whole entire world and how everything is working exactly the way it's supposed to be, right? Before we go reaching out, I'm gonna do it. We have to say, hey, wait, is it time? Is it ready? Should I do this yet? And then let the spirit guide you how to do it. And then you do it, right? And then if it doesn't, and then people who strike and can never again strike, and it's because they're working out of time.
Yeah.
They're doing something that it's not for them to do. Maybe it's not, and what they said, it's not in your scope of work. So maybe there's a certain kind of way I work. certain direction that I'm working in. What if that woman was cursed?
Mm-hmm.
What if
Maybe it's
something-
to protect you too, because sometimes, you know, I think I have my mind set, like my mind, not my heart, like my mind set, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But then like all these obstacles come into my way, and they're not things that I can control. And when that starts happening, I start thinking, okay, even though my mind, because I'm very strong-minded, so even though my mind is telling me that like I'm doing this, I've learned in my life to take pause when all these obstacles come in, and think, yeah, like what is really going on here? And so sometimes those things are to protect us, sometimes they're to protect other people, sometimes you know, that, like you said, the time isn't right, or maybe you don't have all those skills yet, you know. And so this is just, you know,
Right.
you don't really know. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Cara Pino, today, and we were talking about this exact same thing of how things just sometimes aren't the right time, you know. And
I want to add,
yeah,
right after they said this is beyond your scope of work, and then I was writing in my journal, and they said, just because, well, it was a twofold message. One, on one hand, just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should do everything. And the other hand was, you can't do everything and you don't want to do everything. Like, it was like, there is a divine order in this world. There is a divine purpose and function for everything. And when you work outside of that, you will pay, right? And so to be a being of light and true harmony, it's so much more than I'm a healer and I can do this great work. It's like, you're not alone. And when you step outside of the group and you try to do things on your own without trying to be, like you said, in harmony, then it's discord, you know?
yeah.
So,
That's, yeah. And it's my teacher, Patricia Ann Davis, she calls that order the natural order. And that's I like your word divine order though too. I think it's, you guys are talking about the same thing.
yeah, it's the same. I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The natural order. And I call nature divine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Natural, it's the natural order. Yes,
yeah. And when I was with a shaman down at Mount Shasta, Paul of Venus, he calls it God technology, you know? So we all have our little words, but I think they're all the same thing. We're all saying the same thing.
Yes. Nope. I agree. I would agree. Yes.
But I just want to make sure that we touch on everything that like you wanted to talk about. I had really wanted to
major points, and I will want to add something in there about my concert coming next Friday.
Okay.
So,
and where? Yeah. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah. So I'm doing a concert, and so what I do in concert is vocal sound healing, vocal alchemist transmissions. The people come and I sing their stories to them, you know, and they show up in all kinds of ways. And then I also wanted to do, because I'm in the pyramid, a galactic transmission.
Nice.
I received a transmission last night and it was incredible. And so I would like to do some more, and I wasn't even in the pyramid, I was in bed.
Yeah.
But I would like to do a galactic transmission, and I do this all with my voice, but now I have some instruments, I have a layering machine, so maybe I'll play around with that if I feel comfortable to do so. But in the past, it's just been me and my voice. I have an instrumentalist, which is on my website, the video that's there, the elder gentleman, he plays various amounts of flutes. So I've had him working with me in the past. I would love to have an actual drummer.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
You know, that, because I love to work with the drum and the beat, you know, and a bass player. So yeah, but at this point it's just me. And I'm intuitive. Everything is intuitive. There's nothing planned. It's just me flowing in my movement, in my moment, and giving people some medicine and sound. So I'm going to be doing that next Friday at the Good Shepherd Center here in Seattle, North Seattle.
Okay. I don't know if it's like if you're prepared, but I do know, like we had brought our pyramids to the beach one day, and that was the first time I got to hear the magic of your voice. It's very unique. Would you be able to share that now? Or
he's ready for that.
you are? Because I don't want to like put you on the spot or anything, but I know that
On the spot, I'm always ready, girl.
Oh, awesome. Because I was almost afraid to ask, but I really wanted to hear a little bit of your magic.
This is what I do. So I just show up and let things happen, you know. So,
yay.
So I'll give you a little sample of what I do. So that's a little something and of what I do. And I mix that up with different sounds, nature sounds, beats, music, you know. Yeah. It's sometimes I have pre-recorded music that I make. And it's really hard to move within that because what I do, you know, it's really organic. So it's nice to have live musicians where they can feel. But my requirement for live musicians is that they are an alchemist. They are tapped into the reality that I'm trying to create, you know. And I work alone. I have like Dick Valentine. He comes every now and then because he's in that space. He's got an amazing story behind what he does. But other than that, just finding other musicians who are not just showing up and banging on some instruments, you know, and making noise. They're like feeling into spaces and playing, you know, or they're able to connect with me and match the vibration that I'm trying to put out, you know, or getting that healing energy. And imagine if you had a team of people working with you in song who were channeling, just like you're channeling. You know, I mean, whoa, you know, and if you channel together music, whoa, you know, I mean, and we're channeling more because our music today is, what's the word I'm looking for? Carnal. So we're channeling carnal energies to create the music that we create today. So that's why you want to shake your booty and get your little yellow rolling around and, you know, and doing all that. And you say that you say, because it's carnal based music and it gets people in a carnal mind frame. They can't think about anything but eating, fucking, and whatever.
Yeah, like base necessity, like,
you know,
not higher level things. Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, if you could even say they were making, you can't even call it that. You can't even call it sex. It's raunchy, you know. Yeah. And so, and that, so the music, when you listen to the music, it sounds great, right? But what is it doing to the people who are hearing it? It's creating vibration, and we channel music, music channels us. So when we chant, when we sing, and we sit down and play our instrument, whatever's inside of our body and our mind and our hearts, and we play that guitar or that bass or that's what's channeled out into the instrument, and that sound carries out, and that's what people are feeling. It's like the musical version of like Water for Chocolate. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, where when you're cooking, and if you have a feeling of love and you put that love into the food, and people who eat the food feel your love. If you're feeling rage and passion, you put that into the food, and people who eat it are like, rah! You know, I mean, that's the same thing with music. When we play our music, when we sing, you know, that's what's coming out, you know. So and it's scientific, that's very scientific, and it's also, it's so real that if you actually literally sat down and thought about it, it's going to take you places. Yeah, definitely.
Especially if you sit and think about it under a pyramid, then you're really
right, you know. But like the music of Miles Davis, the music of Duke Ellington, the music of Charles Mingus, their lives, what they did, you listen to that music, you know. And what I'm saying is, their music is brilliant and awesome, but their lives, whatever it was that was in their heart, is channeled through their music. We want our music, and then people listen to that, and we listen to that. You know, these are all great artists. I'm not saying they're not great artists. I listen to this music. I love jazz. I listen to it. But I realize in the listening, I have to transmute. Because one of them was depressed. One of them was manic, you know. So it's like their music is manic and depressive, right? We listen to it and we house that energy. Now, we're not all running around wanting to kill ourselves or anything like that. But if we're stuck, we might want to think about it. So there is no good, bad. It's like, wait a minute, who made this? You know, if a Christian artist, if they're not in the right heart frame or something, and they're putting this stuff out, they really need to like focus on what it is. That's why it takes me so long to do stuff, because I got to make sure my heart is right. I got to make sure I'm in the right space and energy. And when you're a healer, there's no excuse, you know? So there it is. But girl, we had talked for a whole hour.
I can't even believe it. It's like the time has literally flown by. And I feel like I could like talk to you forever, but
good, because that first day you came into the studio, you sat down, I was like looking, okay, 15 minutes, we're gonna start, and 10 minutes, and 5 minutes. And then 2 hours went by, and we were just
oh my God, I think we talked for like 3 hours or something. It was complete insanity. My husband's like, where did you go? Like, and then I come home and I'm like, I'm making a pyramid today. And he's just like, what's going on?
What? Okay.
So yeah, we definitely could keep going, but I think that we've talked enough to give people a taste of kind of what you're doing, and to hopefully want to follow you and to kind of stay in tune with what you're doing, with a pun intended.
So if you need a tarot reading, come to my table. Me and Ra, we're here.
Yeah, and you can do those remotely too, right?
Them remotely too, yes. It's set up so that you can go on my website, and when you book, you get a Zoom link, and you get to choose whether you want to come in person or do it by Zoom.
Awesome. And so I'll put all those links on the podcast as well as on my website, and I'll share all of that stuff. So if there's anything that someone thinks they missed, it'll all be on there.
I'm excited. I'm excited about a lot of things.
Yeah, I am too. Well, thank you again, Tamara. This has been awesome. I'm really excited that we were able to connect, and yeah, just thank you.
Yeah, thank you too. I'm so excited to meet you. You've just been a joy. You've been a revelation. And I'm like, this girl Crystal. So Crystal said, and Crystal, and I was like, I'm just talking about her. Like, she's just like somebody. And it's Crystal. She's like doing this. Crystal. Oh, the book. Da, da, da.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm looking forward to connecting on the beach before I go, just one little thing. I might get out there myself today because it's a sunny day.
I know, it's beautiful. I know. I wish I wasn't so booked up today. I would join you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Close.
Yeah. Okay. I love you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Good night or good day.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to my virtual campfire. I'm humbled and grateful, and with heartfelt thanks, thank you for listening all the way to the end. I hope that it caused a vibration or a thought or sparked something inside of you to make a positive change.